It's time for another thrilling episode of Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm Subponicket Poster.
Someone I knew once described adamant to me. Adamant is, and always will be, the Order, he said. A guardian on the edge of the abyss. The lone soul that stares into oblivion and doesn't waver. That's what Warden Commander Clarel tried to be. Well, they all tried to be. None of the Wardens we saw wavered. They gave their lives willingly.
In service of a shitty cause.
They died for us. And Corypheus twisted their sacrifice to make it his own.
We stopped him. We saved most of the Wardens.
And told them to fuck off.
And they died thinking they were doing something good. There's no one to blame but Corypheus. Even Clarel's intentions were righteous. Her desire to protect was so great it led her astray. It's not right. To want to do good, to be good, and have that turned against you.
Don't think of what went wrong. Think of their intentions, their sacrifice. Honor their selflessness.
Clarel made mistakes, but she was a great woman. And she died a great woman. It's not the armor or the trappings of the Order. It's not the joining. At the heart of it, all a Warden is a promise. To protect others, even at the cost of your own life.
And since we're right here, I thought I'd show this off. Remember the box that we bought that was really expensive? Well, out of it you get this. Yep. We now have a nug we can ride around. A gigantic fuck-off nug. Although their feet are different. This is the Orlesian Throne. And we get to judge a real asshole.
Influence continues, your worship. I submit Lord Livius Erimond of Virantium, who remains loyal to Corypheus. We found him alive, offering extreme resistance, likely because the Order will ask for his head. In more colorful terms. To say nothing of justice you might personally require for what was suffered in the Fade.
I'm struggling to understand how judging you can make up for anything that happened.
I recognize none of this proceeding. You have no authority to judge me.
On the contrary, many officials have communicated that they will defer to the Inquisitor on this matter.
Because they fear. Not just Corypheus, but Tevinter, rightful ruler of every piece of ground you've trod in your pathetic life. I served a living god. Bring down your blades and free me from the physical. Glory awaits me.
So he's an unrepentant asshole. And we have two options. If you're a mage, you can actually tranquil him, which is funny because he cries like a little bitch about it. But he wants us to kill him, so we're not going to do it.
Death is a validation for you. I will delay it. Lord Livius Erimond of Virantium, you'll spend the rest of your days in the deepest, darkest hole we can find.
We shall see which of us outlives our legacy, Inquisitor.
And now we're going to go to a little side area. Back in Emprise du Lion, we found that letter talking about the Sullivan blade. And this is the war table mission you get from it. Let's head on over and check it out. Unlike some of the other ones, the Sullivan blade place stays open after you clear it, so you can go back, and there's a very good reason for that, and I will explain it when we get there. We're going to be searching for a lost elven sword.
So this is where the Sullivan blade was lost.
Good spot for it. I wouldn't look here for anything.
It's an Elven Ruin. And there's a fair amount of cash laying around here. These big old piles of gold. I almost forgot one.
There's an altar.
If the elves perform some sort of magic here, we should proceed with caution, Inquisitor.
Need some Balefire. Now, an interesting sort of exploit in this game is that if you have a treasure chest with more than one item in it, and you leave one item in that treasure chest, when you return to the area, reload it or whatever, the contents of that chest will refresh. The Cradle of Sullivan is unusual in that it has an unusually high chance of spawning tier 3 schematics. So once you come here, go to a treasure chest, leave an item in there, and come back multiple times, and you can farm a lot of really good schematics that way. Let's see what this does. Oops. And this is a Revenant. We haven't run into one of these yet, and they are real assholes. They hit like freight trains. They have sort of a pull maneuver that will yank you into their melee range, and they just do a lot of damage all around. There's also some spiders roaming around here randomly. I'll let them take care of it. And what we need to do here is find 4 pieces of the blade.
That corpse was possessed by a pride demon. No doubt drawn by the elves' use of blood magic.
There must be more altars.
And we will go find them. And here's a tier 3 schematic we'll pick up. So take the money and the schematic, leave the crappy thing in there, and when I come back, there might be something else good in here. And these altars all pretty much work the same. Take the stuff, spawn a Revenant, kill it, get your piece.
Do say whatever you're thinking, darling. If you hold it in any longer, your face will split apart.
No, I don't want to bother you.
It's your face.
It's just, I was wondering how you got your nickname, Madame de Fer.
It was kindly bestowed by a marquise, sadly no longer with us.
All right, that's a good one. I'm writing that down for later.
These sconces here. Whoever put this one over here is a real asshole. They stuck something in front of it, and getting it lit is a little difficult. Now, if there's only one thing in there and you take it, obviously, nothing to refresh, so that chest now becomes inert and is not usable again. We get some elfy shit. And there are a lot of loot chests in here, so it's a really good place to farm those schematics. That was his grab move, but it got blocked by the statue. If it hits you, you get stunned when you get brought into him, so unless you've got some sort of an immediate get the fuck out of the way power, he will smash you upside the head and do a shitload of damage. Give me my stuff. And there's an upstairs. There's not a whole lot up here, some sacks and whatnot, and there's also a glyph that we'll pick up. A little blood magic. Turned out as well as usual. That refresh trick works with those sacks as well, basically anything that's got treasure in it. This used to be abusable where you could find an amulet of power for your characters, take that out of the box, and then keep coming back, and end up with your companions really overpowered. They patched that out, unfortunately. Most of those chests no longer have those amulets in them. However, if you do get an Amulet of Power and you're on the PlayStation 4, you can use the duping glitch for accessories to infinitely dupe them, so not a whole lot was solved. You can jump down there, but there's also a staircase. And there are some undead wandering freely about down here. Not too many. And they'll spawn even after you clear the place.
One down!
our last piece of the sword. One funny thing about Revenants is that I have a tendency to glitch out. He'll do it here. Yeah, they'll just sit there and basically have a seizure and not do anything. Now we've got all 4 pieces. Take these to Dagna, and she will make you a new sword.
Dagna can find a way to restore it.
It's a 2-handed sword, and it's really damn good. It does over 300 damage. I think it does Pull of the Abyss randomly on hits. It's quite good. I'll slap it on Bull at some point and let him go to town. And then I just fuck with this poor corpse. Whee! And outside, in the Starlight Gardens, in the back, there are some doors with extra treasure in them. And a supply cache, which we don't need or use. Wrong corner. Very good rune as well. For your mage's staffs. Stop giving me shit! And that's the Cradle of Sullivan. And we finally finished Vivs Quest that we got from her way back in Haven. So we'll turn this in for a nice approval bump with her.
Your lost books have been found.
I never doubted you, darling. You always get results.
And since I haven't shown this off,
My dear, did you need me for something?
you can hit on Viv. She's not romanceable by anyone, and her answer never changes.
I think that you and I might someday...
Oh, aren't you precious? Of course not, my dear.
Although the response you get is based on approval, so if she's not real fond of you, she basically tells you you're an idiot.
Left alone.
We'll find out a little bit about Solus, too.
I'd like to know more about you, Solus.
Why?
Don't be an asshole.
You're an apostate, yet you risked your freedom to help the Inquisition.
Not the wisest course of action when framed that way.
I appreciate the work you're doing, Solus. I just wanted to know more about you.
I'm sorry. With so much fear in the air. What would you know of me?
You said you'd traveled to many different places.
This world, or its memory, is reflected in the Fade. Dream in ancient ruins, and you may see a city lost to history. Some of my fondest memories were found in crumbling cities, long picked dry by treasure seekers. The best of the battlefields. Spirits press so tightly on the veil that you can slip across with but a thought.
Any place in particular?
I dreamt at Ostagar. I witnessed the brutality of the Darkspawn and the valor of the Ferelden warriors. I saw Alistair and the hero Ferelden light the signal fire, and Logain's infamous betrayal of Kaelin's forces.
I've heard the stories. It would be interesting to hear what it was really like.
That's just it. In the Fade, I see reflections created by spirits who react to the emotions of the warriors. One moment, I see heroic wardens lighting the fire, and a power-mad villain sneering as he lets King Kaelin fall. The next, I see an army overwhelmed and a veteran commander refusing to let more soldiers die in a lost cause.
And you can't tell which is real.
A pity you did not ask Alistair earlier. Yet even that would have been but another perspective.
What made you start studying the Fade?
I grew up in a village to the north. There was little to interest a young man, especially one gifted with magic.
Elves don't live in villages, what the fuck?
Spirits of the Fade showed me glimpses of wonders I had never imagined. I treasured my dreams. Being awake, out of the Fade, became troublesome.
Did spirits try to tempt you?
No more than a brightly colored fruit is deliberately tempting you to eat it. I learned how to defend myself from more aggressive spirits, and how to interact safely with the rest. I learned how to control my dreams with full consciousness. There was so much I wanted to explore.
I gather you didn't spend your entire life dreaming.
No. Eventually, I was unable to find new areas in the Fade.
Why?
2 reasons. First, the Fade reflects the world around it. Unless I traveled, I would never find anything new. Second, the Fade reflects and is limited by our imaginations. To find interesting areas, one must be interesting.
Is this why you joined the Inquisition?
I joined the Inquisition because we were all in terrible danger. If Corypheus destroyed the world, I would have nowhere to lay my head while dreaming of the Fade.
Ah.
Inquisitor, that is why I joined, not why I stayed.
I wish you luck.
Thank you. In truth, I've enjoyed experiencing more of life to find more of the Fade.
How so?
You train to flick a dagger or an arrow to its target. The grace with which you move is a pleasing side benefit. You have chosen a path whose steps you do not dislike because it leads to a destination you enjoy. As have I.
Gross.
Have you always traveled and studied alone?
Not at all. I have built many lasting friendships. Spirits of wisdom, possessed of ancient knowledge, happy to share what they had seen. Spirits of purpose helped me search. Even wisps, curious and playful, would point out treasures I might have missed.
I don't know of any spirits by those names.
They rarely seek this world. When they do, their natures do not often survive exposure to the people they encounter. Wisdom and purpose are too easily twisted to pride and desire.
You're saying that you became friends with Pride and Desire demons?
They were not demons for me.
Meaning?
The Fade reflects the minds of the living. If you expect a spirit of wisdom to be a pride demon, it will adapt. And if your mind is free of corrupting influences, if you understand the nature of the spirit, they can be fast friends.
I'm impressed that you could become friends with spirits.
Anyone who can dream has the potential. Few ever try. My friends comforted me in grief and shared my joy. Yet, because they exist without form, as we understand it, the Chantry declares that spirits are not truly people.
Well,
Is
technically they're
Cassandra
not
defined by her
people.
cheekbones and not her faith? Varric by his chest hair and not his wit?
You can be a jerk to him, or you can just sort of back out.
I hadn't thought about it that way, but I see your point.
Thank you. Few are willing to entertain such a notion.
And that's gonna do it for this episode of Let's Play Dragon Age Inquisition. Thanks for joining us.